Hey guys, Caleb is going to come onto the stage and give us a talk. I want you guys to be super respectful. This kid's very wise. Thanks for being here, Caleb.
Hey, Dad. Michigan sucks.
Hey guys, how's it going? So, if you don't know me, I'm Caleb. I'm a junior at West, so I'm going to class with a bunch of guys. So the first thing I want to do is just tell you guys a story about my grandpa. And so my grandpa grew up hunting and fishing, being in the woods, and he knows what he's doing out there, and he's very knowledgeable. And so my great-grandpa, I don't know if any of you guys know where Prineville is. It's over in Eastern Oregon. My great-grandpa grew up and lived his whole life in Prineville, and he was a Forest Service guy. So he knew his way around the woods, too. So one day, my grandpa and my great-grandpa are walking through the woods, and they're looking for firewood, and I don't know, they're just goofing around. So they get to this part, and they decide that it's time to stop and go back to the car. And they get there, and my grandpa starts walking out this way. My great-grandpa's like, where are you going? And he's like, the car, it's over this way. Great-grandpa's like, no, it's not. Yeah. So he's like, okay, well, you go ahead and go that way. So as soon as my grandpa gets out of sight of my great-grandpa, he just starts running. And he's like, I gotta beat him. I gotta beat him and show him that I'm better. I don't know. So he's rolling, and he's running and running, and he gets around the corner, and there's the car, and my great-grandpa's sitting there, leaning against the side of the car, pouring himself a cup of coffee. And my grandpa's like, what the heck? Like, how did he beat me? So I'm gonna tell you guys another account real fast, and this one's out of the Bible. And it's about this dude named Jesus. And so one day, Jesus was walking along this lake, and he's just walking along, and he sees these guys out in these boats. And these guys are fishermen. They fish their whole lives. They know what they're doing. That's all that they've ever done, is they're fishermen, and they're expert fishermen. And they've been fishing all night long, and they don't catch anything. And Jesus comes and gets in their boat, and he says to them, put out into the water, go into deep water, and let out your nets to get some fish. And they're like, well, we've been fishing all night. Like, we know what we're doing. And we've been fishing all night, and we have not caught anything. And Jesus said, just do it. Like, let's just put your net over the other side of the boat, and let's just see what happens. And they're like, okay, well, I mean, if you say so. And they throw their nets over on the other side of the boat, and they start pulling up these nets, and they can't even pull them up. There's so many fish in them. And they get these nets into the boat, and the boats start to sink because they're so overloaded with fish. And this one guy, his name was Peter, and he looks at all the fish, and the boat's sinking because there's so many fish. And he looks at Jesus, and he says, like, who are you? And he says, depart from me, so go away. And he says, so I'm a sinner, and I'm not, and so depart from me, Lord, and just leave. And so I think a lot of us in high school fall in, and just in life in general, fall into one of those two situations in our stories. We're either going on our own path, thinking that we know exactly where we're going, and no one can tell us different, and we have the best way to go. And we're rolling along, and no matter what anyone says, we know what we're doing. Or, that's like my grandpa, or we're like Peter in this story. And we have an encounter with people that know Jesus, or this guy, Jesus, and we say, go away. I have messed up. I've screwed up. I'm not worth it. I can't, this is not for me. I'm not worth it because I've screwed up. And so the beauty of that is what Jesus tells Peter, this guy who said, leave me alone, what he tells him next. And he looks at Peter after Peter had said, leave me alone. And he says, do not be afraid. And then he tells to all of these guys, these fishermen, he says, follow me. And these guys drop everything that they've done, their entire lives, and follow this guy, Jesus. So I think for us in high school especially, it can be really scary with the future and not knowing where we're going. And you hear about this guy, Jesus, and it's hard for us to put our trust in people because we've all had relationships where our trust has been broken or we've been hurt. And it's hard to put our trust in someone. But Jesus Jesus tells us, he says, "For I know the plans I have for you, and they're plans for welfare and for good, to give you a future and a hope, not for evil." And he gives us this path that we can follow that is really designed with only our best interest at heart. And he tells us, do not be afraid. You might have messed up. You might have done some things you aren't proud of, but don't be afraid. Come with me, follow me, and be with me. And he's going to lead you down a path that is with your best interest. And he also doesn't say that there's not going to be bumps in the road. But the cool part about following Jesus and being in a relationship with Jesus is that when there is bumps in the road, you can handle them. You can get over them. You have someone to fall back on, something to support you in those bumps. When you don't have a relationship with Jesus, or when you don't have anything there, you hit these bumps in the road and you can be left feeling broken and like despaired, and you don't know what you're going to do, and these bumps can just totally destroy you. But when you have Jesus to fall back on, there's something there. And the thing is we're all going to have times in our lives where we're going to be like my grandpa in the story, where we're saying, well, we're going to go this way because this is what we think is best. And the cool part of that is when we realize that that's not the right way, and that's only going to leave us hurt and broken, is that when we come back, Jesus is sitting there pouring himself a cup of coffee, just waiting for us to get back. So I'm going to pray real quick. You can bow your heads or whatever you want to do. So, dear Jesus, thank you for this opportunity you've given us to come be in a relationship with you and follow the path that you've laid down for us, Lord. Because we know that in what we do, you're walking ahead of us and preparing the way. Thank you for everyone here, that they could maybe get a break from the stress of school and come chill out on this Monday night with all of us. And just thank you that you're always there waiting for us to come back to you. Amen. Thank you guys.